1974's Shriek of the Mutilated is not your typical Bigfoot movie. Oh sure, it has Bigfoot, and it has kids in the woods and plenty of off-screen kills. But hear me out, and I'll explain why this movie had so much potential, and how if it just had a big budget, might have been a pretty good film. Unfortunately, it did not have a big budget, and it shows. Right off the bat, we get a beheading, and what I think is a Yeti killing a chicken?
One trait is universal. The Yeti has the uncanny ability to disappear into thin air as soon as modern man approaches.
Fast forward 7 years, and we meet Dr. Prell, who's getting some students ready for an expedition into the woods because he believes he can track down Bigfoot. The night before they're supposed to go out, some of the students go to a party where, just like in real life, the music is too loud and you can't hear anyone talking. When they do turn off the music, we meet Spencer, who went on the professor's trip 7 years ago and barely escaped with his life.
I've had my little expedition. I've got my battle star. And which lucky soul will return this time, Lucky that is to be alive.
After the party, Spencer and his wife April go home, and Spencer just wants to get drunk. April tries to stop him, and he takes a knife to her. He then passes out in the bathtub, and April gets her revenge. This has nothing to do with Bigfoot, or really anything else in the movie. But, hey, it's our first kill.
Did you enjoy the salad?
It was fabulous.
Keith is the only student who didn't go to the party. Instead, he went to a dinner with the professor, where he eats ginseng.
This is excellent. What is it anyway?
Oh, it's a combination of wild meat. The natives call it ginseng.
The next day, Dr. Prell and all the students head out to Boot Island to try to catch the creature. They arrive at a house and meet Carl, the professor's friend, and we finally get to meet all of the students by name.
This, my friends, is Dr. Carl Werner. Carl, allow me to present my students. This is Karen Hunter,
Karen.
Lynn Kelly,
Lynn.
and Tom Nash.
Tom.
And this young man is Keith Henshaw.
All I can say about Carl is, man, this guy wears some tight pants. The last person we are introduced to is Laughing Crow, a mute Native American, or as Carl puts it,
My Indian.
yeah, this guy doesn't look Native American at all. The actor's name is Ivan Agar, possibly the most Russian name I've ever heard. Tom plays a lot of musical instruments, and he kind of reminds me of Tiny Tim. Carl talks about some of the sounds he has heard recently in the woods at night.
I put my jacket on, grabbed my rifle, and slipped quietly into the yard. It was bitter cold. Clouds covered the moon, but I could still see the tree line 50 yards off.
Yeah, at night. Looks pretty daylight to me, but sure. They mentioned something I haven't heard before in Bigfoot lore, that you can hear its heartbeat. Carl catches a glimpse of the creature just jumping in the woods, but it's able to escape.
I began to detect a rank, foul odor in the air, and I had the distinct feeling that I was being watched. It was the most unnerving experience of my entire life. Suddenly, a cloud passed away from the moon, and for one split second, I thought I saw something, a shaggy figure standing just at the edge of the tree line. Instantly, it was gone.
Lynn wears some big glasses, even for the 70s. She also likes to sleep with them on. The next day, the group sets out into the woods to hunt the creature. Tom goes off by himself and gets killed, but here we get another quick glimpse of the Yeti, and boy does it look dumb. Definitely looks like a guy in a suit. The group searches for him, but decides to call it a night. The next morning, they all go out looking for Tom. Lynn decides to look in the greenhouse for some reason, but she is terrified by whatever she sees.
It's Lynn!
She runs away, and she gets killed by the beast. Elsewhere, Karen finds Tom's gun and his severed leg. They pause on the leg for a really long time. They must have been proud of the special effects.
Do you know why I'm here? Why I'm doing this? Do you know what people say behind my back?
Back at the house, Karen is the only one with any common sense and wants to get out of there. But Dr. Prell won't allow it, saying that his reputation depends on finding the beast.
I don't care about your reputation.
Prell comes up with a plan to use Lynn's body as bait. Karen won't allow Lynn to be used like that, so she sneaks out into the greenhouse to get the body. Once inside, she sees both Lynn and Tom dead. Something is afoot. Karen passes out and she wakes up in bed, where they're able to convince her that it was just a dream. But was it?
No, I touched him. He was in the greenhouse. I dragged him out. I thought it was Lynn.
Honey, you've had a terrible dream. That's all it was.
The group goes through with the doctor's plan to use Lynn as bait, and eventually the beast comes. But he doesn't end up doing much.
Come back, you fool!
Keith hunts down the creature and hears its heart beating, but then he sees it's coming from a speaker. He doesn't have much time to think about it because something knocks him out.
Is she dead? No. But she is in a deep state of shock.
Well, one more exposure should do the trick.
Now we get our big twist in the movie. Carl and Prell are scheming about how they have to kill Karen, but they can't touch her. She must be scared to death. So that's what the Bigfoot costume is for. Keith wakes up and runs to the house, where he hears the two men talking.
I have an idea.
I don't think so. Put your hands up.
Really, Keith, I thought you were asleep.
I mean what I said. Put your hands up.
Be reasonable.
Put them up!
He shoots them with the shotgun, only to find out that it's just filled with blanks.
Try me.
Be reasonable, Keith.
Laughing Crow then knocks him out with a giant bone.
Ernst, would you move the van? Our guests will need the space to park, okay? Hello, operator. Would you please get me the Cozy Rest Motel?
With Keith knocked out, Carl calls a hotel and gives the message that breakfast is on at the appointed time. While he is talking on the phone, Keith wakes up and escapes. Man, you can't keep this guy down. Prell goes outside to move the van for their guests, and Keith knocks him out, stealing the van, and forgetting all about Karen. During his escape, the guests are coming, so he must hide, and of course he gets the van stuck, so he just runs into town, where he flags down a cop. Karen wakes up in the house and looks out the window where she sees the creature coming after her. She doesn't know it's just a guy in a suit, but we sure do, and it looks like it too. Eventually, their plan works, and Karen is scared to death.
We conjure all good blessings on your person, and we invoke the beneficent presence of the Lord Baal-Berith on this assembly.
All of the guests have arrived, and we can see that they are from all over the world. Dr. Prell mentions how this has been happening for years, and we even get to hear about some of the other ways they've killed people.
Madam Winchester, could we ever forget that avalanche? And to think we thought that mountain climbing was passe. Baron Udovsky, your performance at the Grand Prix, so grand, and so many accidents.
I don't know what you're doing, or who these people are, but I'm going to put a stop to it right now.
Keith breaks in and tries to stop it, but even the cop is in on it too.
All in good time.
What am I, crazy? This is your job.
Sonny, sure glad you flagged me down. I would have sure hated chasing you.
Let me present the esteemed members of Les Gens de Droit.
Gens de Droit? That's the finger people. This must be some sort of devil cult.
Prell introduces the cult, and Carl explains its origins.
Our forebears were affiliated with the Vauderies, a popular cult of Satanists who were driven underground in 17th century France. Much of their mythology was meaningless ceremony, but it served its purpose for our schismatic brethren. One of the many rituals was one that brought unbounded benefits to those who participated.
To those who practice the manger les chair humaine.
Cannibals!
We prefer carnassier. It's less droll.
But the Yeti! The beast!
Oh, the beast is in the closet. A device conceived by Ernst years ago to draw suspicion from our activities.
I believe he can be persuaded to perpetuate the Yeti legend for us.
Dr. Prell then gets on the radio and talks to their leader. He explains how Keith was the one who was supposed to spread the legend back home, but now he knows too much. Prell isn't worried, though, because Keith has unwillingly taken part in their ways by eating ginseng, or human flesh. Karen is wheeled into the room, and Keith grabs her, but they are not happy about this and attack Keith, stabbing him with their forks.
Time is at hand, Keith.
They don't kill him, however, because they need Keith to join their cult.
Come, Keith. Come, my boy.
In the end, it looks like the cult got their way, and Keith is drooling over Karen.
Mr. Henshaw, white meat or dark?
Shriek of the Mutilated is more of a cannibalistic cult movie than a Bigfoot movie. It's at least an original idea. The cult twist is something that I didn't see coming. Dr. Prill seemed like he legit wanted to capture this beast in the beginning. I can't really hate on the Bigfoot costume because it was supposed to be a costume the whole time. The music is a little strange, but I like it. But the acting is awful, and it looks like it was filmed on a Super 8 camera. All in all, I give Shriek of the Mutilated 1.5 bathtub toasters out of 4.
I hope it's still hot.
Oh, this is crap.